Around 1200 BCE, nearly every major civilization in the Mediterranean collapsed at the same time. Cities were burned. Empires vanished. Writing systems disappeared. And historians still don't agree on why. At the center of this chaos was a group the Egyptians feared so much they carved them into stone, the Sea Peoples. Around 1200 BCE, the eastern Mediterranean experienced what historians call the Late Bronze Age collapse. In a remarkably short period, established kingdoms crumbled, major cities were burned to the ground, and trade routes that had existed for centuries vanished. This was not a slow decline but a sudden, violent series of events that left a power vacuum across the region. Amidst this chaos, the Sea Peoples appeared as both a symptom and a primary cause of the widespread destruction. The term Sea Peoples was coined by modern archaeologists, but ancient Egyptians recorded their encounters with these invaders in vivid detail. They were described as a diverse group of tribes moving by land and sea with their families and possessions in tow. They were not merely pirates but a migratory force seeking new lands to settle. Their origins remain one of archaeology's greatest mysteries, with theories suggesting they came from the Aegean, the Balkans, or even Central Europe. Our primary source of information comes from the mortuary temple of Ramses III at Medinet Habu. The massive stone reliefs depict a desperate struggle against the invaders. The inscriptions identify specific groups like the Peleset, Chikir, and Shekelesh. These carvings are incredibly detailed, showing the invaders' distinct clothing, feathered headdresses, and horned helmets. They provide a rare visual record of an enemy that left no written history of their own, documenting a pivotal moment for Egypt's survival. One of the most significant engagements was the Battle of the Delta, where Ramses III utilized the unique geography of the Nile to trap the invaders. The Egyptian fleet, armed with archers, ambushed the Sea People's ships, which were crowded with warriors and families. The reliefs show the invaders' ships capsizing while Egyptians rain arrows down from the shore. This victory saved Egypt from total conquest, although the empire was left severely weakened and would never fully recover. While the naval battle was decisive, the Sea Peoples also launched a massive land invasion through the Levant. Ramses III met them at the Battle of Jay, likely located in modern-day Lebanon. The Egyptian army faced a mobile force traveling in ox-drawn carts, indicating a full-scale migration rather than a simple military raid. The clash was brutal, involving heavy infantry and chariotry. Though Egypt claimed victory, the sheer scale of the migration proved that the old world order was finished. Among the various tribes mentioned, the Peleset are perhaps the most famous. Most scholars agree that the Peleset are the same people known in the Bible as the Philistines. After their defeat by Egypt, they settled on the southern coast of Canaan, establishing 5 major city-states including Gaza and Ashdod. Their arrival introduced new styles of pottery and technology to the region. The transition from Peleset to Philistine marks one of the few instances where we can trace a Sea People group. The Sherden are another prominent group, easily identified by their distinctive horned helmets often topped with a solar disk. Interestingly, the Sherden had a complex relationship with Egypt. Long before the Great Invasions, many Sherden served as elite bodyguards for Pharaoh Ramses II at the Battle of Kadesh. Their presence within the Egyptian military suggests that some Sea Peoples were mercenaries who later joined their kin in the massive migrations that eventually threatened the very masters they once served. The Lukka and the Shekelesh are two groups often linked to the regions of Anatolia and the western Mediterranean. The Lukka are frequently mentioned in Hittite records as troublesome raiders from Lycia, known for their seafaring prowess. The Shekelesh have been tentatively linked by some historians to the island of Sicily, suggesting a connection between the collapse in the east and migrations from the west. These links highlight the interconnected nature of the ancient world and the far-reaching impact of the collapse. The Danaan and Chikir were also key players in the confederation. The Danaan are sometimes associated with the Greek Danaans, mentioned by Homer in the Iliad. The Chikir settled in the northern Levant, specifically around the city of Dor. Each of these groups contributed to the cultural mosaic that emerged after the collapse. Their movement suggests a domino effect, where displacement in one region forced tribes to move into another, creating a tidal wave of migration that overwhelmed established states. One reason for the Sea People's success was their military innovation. They utilized long, straight swords and heavy javelins, which were highly effective against the traditional chariot-based armies of the Bronze Age. While the great powers relied on expensive chariots and elite warriors, the Sea Peoples employed masses of disciplined infantry. This shift in warfare favored the newcomers and forced a radical change in military tactics. Furthermore, some groups may have possessed early iron weapons, giving them a technological edge. The Hittite Empire, once a superpower rivaling Egypt, was one of the first to fall. Their capital, Hattusa, located in the rugged highlands of central Anatolia, was sacked and burned around 1180 BCE. Internal instability and famine had already weakened the empire, making it vulnerable to the encroaching Sea Peoples. The loss of the Hittites removed a critical stabilizing force in the region, accelerating the collapse of trade networks and allowing the invaders to move deeper into the Levant. The wealthy coastal city of Ugarit provides a haunting record of its final days. Archaeologists discovered a letter from the king of Ugarit to the king of Cyprus, pleading for help. He described enemy ships burning his cities and his own troops being stationed elsewhere. The letter was found in a kiln, never sent, as the city was destroyed before it could be dispatched. This tragic artifact captures the sheer terror and speed of the destruction brought by the invaders from the sea. In Greece, the Mycenaean civilization also met a violent end. The great palace complexes at Mycenae, Tiryns, and Pylos were destroyed or abandoned. Linear B, the early Greek writing system, vanished, and Greece entered a dark age that lasted for centuries. While the role of the sea peoples in Greece is debated, the timing coincides with the wider Mediterranean chaos. It is possible that some sea peoples were actually displaced Mycenaeans looking for new homes after their own social systems collapsed. The island of Cyprus, known as Alatia in ancient texts, was a vital source of copper for the Bronze Age world. Its strategic location made it a prime target. Archaeological evidence shows widespread destruction layers across the island during this period. The fall of Cyprus was a crippling blow to the regional economy, as it halted the production of bronze. The sea peoples likely used the island as a staging ground for their raids on the Levantine coast and the Nile Delta. What drove these people to migrate? One leading theory points to a massive environmental catastrophe. Paleoclimate data suggests a prolonged period of drought and crop failure across the Aegean and Anatolia. This would have led to widespread famine, social unrest, and the eventual movement of entire populations in search of food and water. In this view, the sea peoples were not just invaders, but climate refugees fleeing a dying landscape, forced into conflict by the basic need for survival. Another perspective suggests that internal social factors played a significant role. The Bronze Age empires were highly centralized and relied on a delicate balance of trade and peasant labor. If the lower classes revolted against the elite or if trade routes were disrupted, the entire system could collapse from within. The sea peoples might have been the final spark that ignited an already volatile situation, joining forces with disenfranchised locals to overthrow the oppressive palace-based economies that had dominated for centuries. The domino effect theory suggests that the collapse was a series of interconnected events. A failure in one kingdom led to the displacement of its people, who then attacked the next kingdom, creating a cycle of violence and migration. This systemic collapse explains why so many civilizations fell simultaneously. The sea peoples were the visible agents of this process, representing the physical movement of people across a crumbling geopolitical landscape. No single cause explains the mystery. It was a perfect storm of disasters. Despite the destruction, the sea peoples eventually settled and integrated into the local populations. In the Levant, the Philistines became a dominant force, influencing the culture, religion, and politics of the region for centuries. In other areas, the invaders were absorbed into the surviving communities. This period of turmoil eventually gave way to a new era. The vacuum left by the fallen empires allowed smaller nations, like Israel and the Phoenician city-states, to emerge and flourish in the following centuries. The end of the Bronze Age marked the beginning of the Iron Age. As the old trade networks for tin and copper failed, blacksmiths began to master the use of iron, which was more abundant. This technological shift, along with the alphabet developed by the Phoenicians, laid the groundwork for the classical civilizations of Greece and Rome. The sea peoples, though destructive, acted as a catalyst for a new world order, ending an era of god-kings and ushering in a more diverse landscape. Today, the sea peoples remain a fascinating enigma. Were they a single group of invaders, a loose confederation of different tribes, or a displaced population seeking survival? While archaeology continues to provide new clues through DNA analysis and pottery studies, many questions remain unanswered. Their legacy is etched in the ruins of fallen cities and the records of the Egyptians who survived them. The mystery of the sea people serves as a powerful reminder of how quickly even the most powerful civilizations can fall.